working. Yeah. Tam lo David, Shermaniel, ki chesisi bach. Amarte la de noyelihe matot tovasi bala lecha, lekdoishim asher ba'aretz heima, vadire kol chefsi bam. Yerbu atzvaysom achamoru, balas techniskehem idam, balas eshmoisom, al sfasi. Adonai menas chalki v'koisi atot temich garali, chavalim nafluli, banimim afnach lasarfa aloi. Vereches Adonai Yeshaya, Sonei Afli Lois Yisruni Kil Yosoi, Shivisi Adonai Lenegdi Samid, Ki Mimeni Bel Imoit, Lachin Samach Libi V'Gal Kavodi, Afisar Yishkoin Laveta, Ki Lois Adonai Nafshi L'Shol L'Sitin Chal Rosh Chas, Chadin Erach Chayim Seves Machois, Espenachani Mais Mincha Netzach.
On behalf of the family, the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren, just wanted to say a few short words in honor of Grandma Oma. This past week's Parsha, we read about Parsha Shira, how Bnei Yisrael sang Shira after Kriyas Yamsuf, which followed the 210 years that Bnei Yisrael were tortured in Mitzrayim, where they saw no Yeshua, no light at the end of the tunnel. But Hashem took them out, and through Nisan and Niflois, we were able to get out of Mitzrayim, and they were able to sing Shira to Hashem. The same thing with Oma. Oma was a Holocaust survivor and experienced the unimaginable. But she preserved, and more than telling us, she lived by example. She lived the history of Jews and was able to sing Shira every day. And through us, the legacy she built together with Grandpa, everything that Grandpa was able to do was all because of Grandma. She supported him through everything, through Tarat Mima, through everything that he did. It was all because of her. And as grandchildren, we could do no wrong. She never said no to us. There's countless stories of what she would do for me, Yassi and Heshi, Chaya, Asarla, all the grandchildren. It was amazing how we had her wrapped around our finger, but it was only because we were her nachas. We were to her. Her life was a testimony to and this was really what her life was. It was the testimony to the resilience of the Jewish people, to the ability to survive and thrive, and even after experience the darkest moments of history. And I just wanted to end, in this week's upcoming Parsha, it talks about the Seres HaDibros, and in the Seres HaDibros we talk about Kibbud Av V'Em. And from a child, it's amazing to see what Mommy, Daddy, Uncle Maish, Tante Goldie, Uncle Shmai, Michaela, what they did for Oma, and also for Grandpa, how around the clock they were constantly watching her, taking care of her. Every moment they were always with her and always watching her and always taking care of her, making sure. Mommy, her words to me always was that, I have Emunah and Bitachon and everything is good, but she's comfortable. And that's all they cared about, was making sure that she was comfortable. And this was a long, she went through a lot, but they were there every step of the way. And it's just an example for all of us, and as children, as grandchildren and great-grandchildren, it's something that we should learn and we should all try to emulate. Relief.
There's an adage, we gather to give kavod achron, but I really think it's not kavod achron, it's kavod rishon. She was a royal, a daughter of royalty. Her father was a renowned Baal Tefillah in Weitz, and she was an aristocrat. And yet for the last over 20 years, she had dementia. But she held herself and her incredible children, her 2 daughters and her wonderful son, covered up for her at every simcha. You see, I know them for 16 years, and I've shared many simchas with them. They are the Salta Shamna V'Kehila, Rav Moshe and his Rebbetzin, Rav Yossi and his Rebbetzin, and Rav Shmai and his Rebbetzin, the best that we have to offer Klal Yisrael. So we shared many simchas together. I never knew she had dementia. They ensured that she would remain a royal. There's a Noichi Hashem Aleikecha at Har Sinai. And there's a Noichi Hashem Aleikecha in Auschwitz, Zait Apel, when you're standing there in pajamas for 18 hours in the freezing cold. It's the same Anochi Hashem Aleikecha. That's what the Nifteres taught us. There's Anochi Hashem Aleikecha when you're deported at the age of 16 to Auschwitz, and you find this incredible husband, the beloved Rav Willie Wiesner Zatzal. Whenever he'd come to shul, there was an aura around him. He had a tremendous smile. He was a people person. And together this dynamic duo raised such wonderful children, Dairis Yishorim Meverachim. But it was with this aristocracy that she maintained. Some Sofer asks, in Eshes Chayil we say, Komu vanea v'yashua bala v'yahalala. The sons, the daughters stand up and they validate. Bala, the husband, v'yahalala, the order is out of sync. The husband has a longer relationship with the wife. It should be the husband who's singing her praises before the children. Says that some Sefer, there are some families that the greatest praise and the greatest hesped that you could say is Kamu Vanel V'Yashua. Each one, Kefi Mahalaloi, Kefi Mahalallah. Shmaya renowned in doing chesed, Hatzolah, and so many other things. Rav Yossi, he's every Gabbai's dream. He's the go-to man when things are a little tight in shul. He davens beautifully. And he does so in a concise fashion. And Rav Moshe, we learn Masechtas together. It's wonderful to learn Torah together. But you know what? She missed many simchas because she had this dementia, but she's now celebrating every simcha, reliving every simcha. Every ufruf, every sheva brachas, einikul, or einikul. The bar mitzvahs that seemingly she wasn't there, but of course she was there. And now she's certainly together with her husband realizes what it's all about. Vayichan shom Yisrael neged ahor ki ish echad b'leiv echad. Sagt Rabbi Yitzchak Mivurki that the word Vayichan, encamped, comes from the word chen, to find favor. Klal Yisrael found favor in each other's eyes, and therefore they found favor in the eyes of the Rabbeinu Shalom. When you have a mother, like the Anikel just said, who only sees good in the children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, when you see a person who goes through the horrors of life at the beginning of her life and at the end of her life, and remains positive and pristine in her faith in man and faith in Klal Yisrael, She finds the chen in every yid that leads to Vayichan. People who find faults in each other can't really appreciate them. It causes them to be distanced from others. But you find the good in others and you're sensitive to that, then everyone is positive. The Nachal Kidum says that the only way there can be togetherness is when there's humility. When Klal Yisrael came to Har Sinai, they internalized this achdus, the attribute of being humble. No one could be more humble than an inmate in Auschwitz wearing the prison garb. But some people threw it off and threw off the Yiddishkeit. She kept her aristocracy. She kept her aristocracy, and she was able, b'siyata d'shmaya, to transmit it to her children, to her dairais. What it means to be a Yid, the chashivas of Torah, of mitzvahs, of chesed, together with a wonderful husband. When you have humility, you don't have to have power over others. When you have humility, you're able to see the goodness and the greatness in others. And that brings the Achdus and Klal Yisrael. There are many ways we become one. Sometimes we make Kiddush and sometimes the Goyim make Havdalah, but at the end of the day, we're proud of what we are. This is a living legacy. The Ponevezher Rav said that the minig is when you leave a Levaya, you go in a circuitous route. You don't go back the same way you came. So the Ponevezher Rav, how could you go back the same way you came? Most of us growing up in America, didn't realize Weitz, didn't realize Germany, didn't see the godless of Klal Yisrael, the nobility of Lita and Ungarn and Poland. Well, we were zeicha to have with us individuals that carried on this legacy. And even though for so many years she wasn't cognitive of what's going on, in her heart she knew what was happening. And that's another legacy that she leaves us to learn from. Her incredible children, Moshe B'Lev and Nefesh, Moshe and his Rebbetzin, 24 years together, living together. He commented this past week, I mentioned to the Shir that my shvig is coming for Shabbos. I thought it was like a big tzaddik. He said he had it for 24 years. And it was always very pleasant, and it was always very exciting. As it was when my shvig was here, but it wasn't 24 years. And the way Shmaya reorganized his Shabbosim and his days to daven at a certain time, to see his mother, to give her that dignity. And Rabbi Yossi the same way. And their wives, her daughters, such incredible people. You can't tell one apart from the other because of the fact that the chesed is the same. The Avas Torah is the same. The tznius is the same. The midas taivus is the same. It all comes from this family, from this nobility. We ask Mechila, myself, my Rebbetzin, Akila, go to Sol Beis Binyamin if we didn't give her the proper covet. But as I mentioned, she's now experiencing covet rishon. She's now reunited with her husband. You know, the Slonim asks a gewaltige kasha. The Torah says that the Rebbeinu Shalom gave a birchas tanchumin to Yitzchak. Vayivorech es b'noi Yitzchak. Ask the Slonim, why should he remind him now as he's getting up from Shiva that he's a Yosem, he lost his father? He knows he lost his father. Says the Slonim, that's not the pshat. Slonim says that Gimel Shutfim be'avram. There are three partners in the formation of man. The Rebbeinu Shalom, the father and the mother. Rebbeinu Shalom is turning to Yitzchak and he's saying, your mother's sorrow is gone. I'm taking her part. I'm taking over her role. And now that your father Avram is gone, I'm taking over his role. So that the Ben Shalom is saying, I'm benching Benoi, my son. You now become my son. Of course, your parents will always be there for you. They'll there. They're going to do great things by the Kisei HaKavod. But the Ben Shalom now takes responsibility for your father and for your mother. You'll see wonderful things in your families. The Rebbeinu Shalom is going to bestow such bracha upon you. Ben Shalom will help in that. You should have the proper nechama, but also you should cherish what lives on within you, the midas, tevais, the royal house that you come from. And that'll be the greatest legacy. Your mother will, together with your father, look at you and take pride in all that you continue to do. Bila amovas lenetzach amocha adinoi Elohim dima me'al kol panim b'chepes amo yosir me'al kol oretz ki adinoi diber.
Rabbi Gelkowitz.
B'shus t'choshva rabbonim and mishpacha. The ptira of Mrs. Wiesner, my neighbor and mispalo of the shul, we shared the mishpacha with the Aguda. When you start a hesped about a person who lived through the most difficult period in the history of Klal Yisrael, everybody needs to understand that this is a different type of a Levaya than any other Levaya. Because somebody that was an Eid Riyah to the worst Churban that Klal Yisrael ever had, we are only Eidei Shmiyah. And each person that is nifter, we lose an entire tzkufa, a whole history book. The Sefer told us, Adam, this is entire Sefer. We don't even know and understand what a person like this who went through Auschwitz, went through the Holocaust, lost mishpacha, how they went through. We're the next generation and generations that follow. But the generation itself, this is poiches v'hailach, and every single person that we lose now is literally like losing an entire book from the whole Todas Am Yisrael. The themes that we heard from the Chosher Rav just say, I believe, are going to be repeated over and over again, because they so much were paramount and prominent in the lives of both Reb Zev, Reb Shemaya, and Yisha Blimo, Bas Reb Tzvi. You know, the Posuk says that Avram Zokim Bo Bayomim Vashem Berachs Avram Bakol. Zokim Bo Bayomim, and the Rebbeinu Shalom is made that he benched Avram with everything. And the Gemara has a whole sugi in Baba Basra. What does Bakol mean? Yeshla ben Lena ben Oisher. We would Poshep Shat say Bakol, but Avram Avinu was known throughout the world. He dealt with Malachim. He had tremendous wealth. He had tremendous stature. He had so much that we could Poshep Shat say Bakol. And in the end, Rashi brings down that Bakol means Begematria Ben. Hashem benched the Avram Avinu with a son, Yitzchak. And then you can ask us, okay, so if the Pasuk wants to say that the biggest thing that he has is Yitzchak, it should have said, Hashem Berachs Avram Yitzchak. Was the Torah so stingy in the words? And even if it's going to say Ben, you don't want to say Yitzchak, so say Ben. What's the purpose in saying Bakol and then turn it into a gematria of Ben. So Rav Moshe in the Dorash Moshe says a beautiful pshat. He says all the godless that a person can achieve in a life is nothing unless you have children that are continuing the Meseirah of Torah mitzvahs. This having a child like Yitzchak, who is continuing the Meseirah, that makes everything else bakol. The son becomes bakol, everything else becomes nothing without the son. So you have, Rashi is basically saying the bakol of the child, of the children of a person, that makes everything bakol. Having that Meseirah. You look at a mishpacha like you're looking at today, and you can say Hashem bears as this mishpacha bakol, as Blima Bas Reb Tzvi bakol. They have a bakol, they have such a beautiful mishpacha continuing in the Meseirah. Not only did she have a bakol with her children, but the children, you can see, had the highest level of kibbud av v'eim for her as well and for the father as well. You know, the Gemara in Kedushin always asks at Heichon mitzvahs kibbud av v'eim. It's because they didn't see a mishpacha like the Kress family, like the Wiesner family, how they were noyig with their parents and with her especially. This is something unusual. And when we learn Hilchas kibbud av v'eim, we just have to remember how these children were noyig and acted with their parents. So the bakol, they felt that the parents were bakol, and the parents felt the children were bakol. And that was the formula. That's the mamash the bakol. That's what a person needs to walk away and try to emulate. Shlomo Melech keeps on saying that this life is hevel avolim. He said it 7 times. And the Medrash says, why is 7 times special? That it's hevel avolim, that this life that a human being is on this earth is worth nothing. And the Medrash says, because there's 7 stages that a person goes through. And the Medrash compares it to the animal kingdom. First starts out a melech. A baby starts out like a melech. Everybody praises him. But he descends very quickly from a melech, becomes a chazir. From a chazir becomes a gedi, jumping around, breaking things, sus, then becomes a sus. He's adorning himself or herself, getting ready for shidduchim. Then he gets married, is nasa chamor, to go take out the garbage. Then after you have children, you become a kelev, everything becomes parnasa, everybody's looking. And finally, the Gemara, the Medrash says that the seif is a kuf. A person descends into a madrega that he loses seichel. Loses seichel. He has a tzuras adam, but he doesn't have the seichel adam. But then the Medrash continues, and that's mamash what I've been hearing, and I heard it before, standing and waiting for the Levaya, hearing it when the Rav spoke, and it's so true. The Medrash says that hanimili b'bnei adam, but mishi yesh le Torah. But if there's Torah in the house, you start with Melech, you continue with Melech, and you end with Melech. The entire life is Malchus. There's a royalty. There's a regency. That is what this mishpacha, that was the Wiesner mishpacha. And whenever you went into this house, you smelled the chont, you smelled the kugel, but the way they handled everything, this was a family, aristocracy was a good word that was said. There's something very special. And it's not aristocracy by itself. It's an aristocracy that's built on Torah. And that's what the legacy of this mishpacha has. The bakol is a bakol of Torah. I wish that the mishpacha only have simchas, or mocha adonai elikim, dimam yakol ponim echerpas ama yosem yakol oretz ke adonai diber.
Rabbi Rappaport.
As the Rav just mentioned, everybody will be probably saying over the same machshuvas, same kavunas, same ideas. But I think that's the real kavod. Coming from different sources and different people, that means that everything that's being said is not exaggerated. Everything is true. No matter how it's brought out, everyone has their own hergish apnimi, how they feel it and how they experienced it. The Chushav just mentioned the Pusik says, "V'avrum zukum bu ba'yum v'Hashem beirich es avruam b'koil." And Chazal darshan as bas hoyeloi lavrum ibakoil shema. Still controversial exactly who the mother of this bas was, but it was Avram Avini's daughter. So the Heilig Sam Sofer has his pshat. No matter who her real mother was, but she definitely grew up in the house of Suri Emaini. She grew up in that house. Sam Sofer brings that we know the Eishes Chayil that we sing every Friday night. At the end of Sefer Mishli, this is Keneged Suri Emaini. All the malas that it says in Eishes Chayil is Suri Emaini. And it goes according to the Aleph base, from Aleph till Tuf, going down the line. So the Heilige Sam Sofer, the three oisiyas, Beis, Chuf, Lamed, Bakoil, are the Iker malas of an Isha Tzedekes that's described in the Eishes Chayil. The Beis is Butach Bo Leif Baala. That's all she's interested in, taking care of her husband. Her husband should be able to grow, and to take care of everything that he needs. Of course, the Chuf is Kappa Porsa Le'uni, that's Chesed, as we all know, and Isha Tzedekes, from Rivki Imeini. And the Lama is Loisiru Leveso Mishulek. That's the Eim Abunim Semeicha, that she's the one that's responsible for the kinder, for the entire kinder, for the house. Loisiru Leveso Mishulek. If you see a house and you see a Kanai Nahara, one gem after another, Azolach Peiris, Azolach Kroinen, Azolach Princes, you should know where that's coming from. That's coming from Loisiru Leveso Mishulek. So the Sam Sofer, that's what the Pusik is telling us, and that's what Chazal are telling us. As Baz Hoyloi Lavruam Ibakoil Shema. That's because she grew up in Suri Emaini's house. And since she grew up in that house, Bakoil, those three middas, is like what she had. What could we say by this Chushav ben Nefteres, Azai Isha Tzedekes? All these malas, there's nothing even that we could even think of to exaggerate. All the malas are beschleimes, den ganzen Emmes, of jede Nekide, of jede Prati Prat. I was thinking that, from Ponivich Ruf steht, one of the Mamurei Chazal, comparing Mises Tzedikim to something that's Mechaper and Metayer, is in Parshas Chikas. There's two Mamurim, one on Aharon and one on Miriam. Loma Nismecha Mises Miriam Lepura Dima. Just like the Pura Dima is Metayer and Mechaper, so Mises Tzedikim is also Metayer and Mechaper. In fact, the Ponivich Ruf, there's already a Mamur by Aharon, the same thing. Lo benismecha Mises Aharon, the same parsha. Le big day kehina. Why is it necessary to make another mamar? And also, look at the Torah Kedoshah is choosing to also bring it out by an Isha Neviah, an Isha Tzedekes. The Ponivich Ruf gesucht that by the Mechatos, the Pura Adimah was divided into three parts. One was Yisroel, the second one was Kahanim, and the third part was Ledoiris. They divided the Mechatos in three vials. The Ponivich Ruf, the same thing is with a tzaddik or a tzedekes. There's the part of that person that was only for the people, the pusheta people. That's as much as they're able to understand. And then there's the part that kahanim, meaning the people that have more of a madrega, and they understand better what it means. The avoidus Hashem and the ruchnias, that's the kahanim. That's what the tzaddik has for those people, a greater type of ashpua. And then, of course, there's the third part of the tzaddik being left over, ledoiris. The lesson that remains, ledoiris. And that's what Chazal want to bring out with this comparison to the Pura Adima. To the point of it, but it's still schwer. Look at this. They wanted to bring out these 3 points in Ochals by a Tzedekis. Ochals by Isha Tzedekis by Miriam. That's not what it says by Aharon. This comparison to Pura Adima with these 3 parts is by Miriam. Elamai Zukter and Isha is Atzniya. And it's not so visible sometimes on the outside for the ganze Welt, her madregas, her malas. It's not spoken about. It's not snei aleches, kol kvide bas melech penimo. But that's what the Torah Kedosha wants to bring out, just to wissen by the Isha Tzedekes, is do the lahamoinam, la kahanim, and la doyres as well. I was thinking maybe Benegaya, to myself personally, maybe there's also 3 madregas in the people that knew this person. Of course, there's the mishpucha, of course, the children and the kroivim and the mishpucha. But then I think there's a category which the Chush Baruch touched on, the neighbors. We had the opportunity to see them every single day, Hamish across the street, going and coming, and every day. Of course, we weren't with them every minute like their tired children. So when you see how they acted together, and then when they weren't together, there's a moedige word from the Heilige Saboisim in Kapitel Memhei and Tillim. The Melech is also speaking there about the malas of Aisha Tzedekis. And one of the psikim it says, Shimi bas Re'i. It's a in the Pusik. It says Shimi, Alushan Shmiya, and it says Re'i, Alushan Riya. How does that go together? So the Saboisim, the koyach of a Isha Tzedekis, an Ish doesn't have this, an Isha has this. She's able to see something that's not there as if it's there. It's mamish ariyah. It's not only shmiyah. Shimi bas ri'i. Her koyach is takadat riyah. Could be taka seeing every single day this Isha Tzedekis, and as we heard already before, the malach is the ganze madreiga. When they were together, Reb Zev, an Upstam, the Kushev Rabunim, a Teure Dike, an Ashkenaz Stieb, Mamish Bechol, Dig Dikeo. And that's what he was makpid on. When he still came in the beginning, when the shul opened, and he used to come every morning to the Daf HaYomi. He was only worried about one thing. He's preparing a coffee for everybody. He would be over there by the coffee station. Horshengat, a cafe. A cafe. That's how he greeted everybody by the door. But who was behind him? She wasn't there when we saw that. So the Groise Balas Chesed, the Groise Chushev Defteres. But this point also, I have to repeat it. And again, it's just how everyone has it in their hergish, in their lev. Everyone who knew him, and not too many people that are still around that knew him. And by the way, this couple, Reb Zev and Blima, they knew him. It was all part of a chabira. It was all part of a group of Sheiris HaPleita. And my parents were part of that, and they were close to them. They were friends. And Man Zaydus was known in his day as the Mekoinen of the Groise Charbon. He never failed to mention it. And one of the things that he brings has been a gaya to this week's parsha. I would imagine it doesn't say, he didn't allow this to be printed. It doesn't say exactly, but it was on Erev Shvius, or Shvius itself. And he was speaking to Sheiris HaPleita, obviously. It must have been his oilam. And it's the Yurtzat of Chist. That Erev Shvius and the first day Shvius is the Yurtzat of the city, the town of Chist. And he said over to them over there, it says that we say in the Nisach of Kel Mula Rachmim, and it says, V'yunichi al Meshkuvam, Shet Azalushin in the Nisach that we say. And I guess he was connecting to the Sheiris HaPleita, but for all those that did not have the schis of Kviras Yisroel, and they were burned. How could you say the nisach on those people, Keil Mularachmim, V'yinichi b'shulayim al mishkuvam? What's it al mishkuvam? There's no mishkuvam, there's nowhere to go. There's no kever. This is what he was saying to those Sheiris HaPleita. And the teretz he brought down is, Pachet Pchudim, Rabbi said, no makar. This must have come out from the Pnimiyas Alev. That in this week's parsha, the Ramban brings the famous medrash that the Rabbi Shalom took the ayil shel Yitzchak which was burnt as a korban oila, and he took all of the aether of that korban oila, and he created two shofars, and it says over there, Izira shel Eliyahu Yanuvi, the gartel of Eliyahu Yanuvi, v'chula v'chula. He took all the ashes, and he made all these things, kiviyuchel, to be used in the future, and be'ikr by Matan Torah, and by the Gila Shleima v'mheiru. So the Heilige Zayid had gesucht, that the Rebbeinu Shalom took all the ashes of all those karbonas that were nifter al Kiddush Hashem, and upstairs in Shemayim he formed their bodies again. The Yudayim, the Raglayim, the Rosh, and over there, that's where Mishkuvam exists. Upstairs by the Kisa Kuvit. And when you say those words, Kael Mul Rachman, for those Kedoshim, V'yinichi B'shulam al Mishkuvam, you're talking about that Mishkuvam. What the Rebbeinu Shalom did in order to form those bodies back the way it was. I guess that gave a little bit of a feeling that these Yidden should have when they're mispalel and they're saying the Kael Mul Rachman. It should be for them as if they're mamish there by the kaver. They feel some type of connection. And he ended off the shtickle and he said, and those that survived are on that same cheshbon of the 6 million. Those that survived and they went on with their Mesiras Nefesh, sei es ein Achaylik von der Kedoshim, sei es ein Achaylik von die, was sich Moise Nefesh gewinnt, al Kiddush Hashem. And even more, as we heard before, because every moment of their lives to go on and to be Ehrlich and to be a Yid and to be a Shomer Torah mitzvahs and a wegzustellen als alle Gedeures, that's the greater Mesiras Nefesh. And they're on that cheshbon as well. So this chis at least is left for us, this door is not here anymore. Kamat. Aber Zana Platz, Zana Mukim, Zana Yenichi al Mishkuvam. We can still go and to be mispalel. And just to end off, Rabbi, I know man tired of Shemaya and Avada man tired of Chavayrim and the ganze Mishpucha. You would want to have the schiz that should have continued. The kibbud av with the Mesiras Nefesh, as hard as it was hard. It wasn't hard. Sie gemein hagroises schiz, the way you did it, mit as a lechtigkeit, mit as a zahalis hapunim, everything. You would want it to continue and continue and continue. Aber der Eibishter will anders. And Avada steht, mechabde b'moisoi, just like b'chayav. It's possible still to continue, but it has to be more with a minna and a betuchen. For the Eibishter helfen uns, soll sein, bila mus, lenetzach, mucha Hashem, lekim dimma me al kopunim, mechepas al meyusim, al koluretz, ki Hashem dibber. I want to ask Mechila, we were talking neighbors, we didn't come enough to visit, we didn't do enough. But I have gesagt, a mensch is a mensch. Avada is the größte Tzedek is Moichel, is Chizl Bahnstein, for Zantak, a Milizi, Yeshua, for the ganze Mishpuche, for ganz Klal Yisroel, solche Zahn zu the Gila Schleime, v'meher v'yameini, Omein.
Rabbi Reisman.
I'm not apologizing. I came late. And the speakers that I heard, each one apologized that they're saying the same thing because it's the truth. You can always say the truth. So you all repeat it. I'm not going to repeat, but I'm going to tell you the truth. It seems that it's not my white beard, but it's a Maimon Chazal. The Maimon Chazal is the beginning of Sefer Shmois. The Pasuk says, Vayomas Yosef, Yosef was Nifta, V'chol Echav, and all his brothers, all the Shvatim, V'chol Hador Hahu, and the whole generation. It's systematic. But Yosef was the monarch. But Chazal tell us the longest living son of Yaakov Avinu was Levi. And the Shibut and Klal Yisrael being put into the position of slavery to Paroi didn't begin until Levi was Niftar. Everything that was said here today is true.
no question. But there's generations over here, and there's a lot what to talk about. I'm not going to repeat anything that anyone said, and not even my own drosha am I going to repeat. The Nifteris is the last one of those generations that was Nifta. This tells us, and I'm going to try to share with you and bring it out. I was by a wedding, talking before about the Holocaust and the survivors. I was by a wedding in the 50s, and it's still etched in my memory, and if I break down crying, it's because I feel it. In the 50s, I was in Be'er Shmuel, and someone was supposed to pick me up to take me to my uncle, who was a survivor of the Holocaust. He's not here anymore. A survivor that was a bocher. I was there. Oma Wiesner was the Mesader Kedushin. And as the minig was, by Chasanas, the Mesader Kedushin gave a drosha. What do you think was the drosha that Reb Shmaya Zechrono Levrocha said at a bocher that has no parents, a bocher that survived the war? He spoke about that. And what happened was the whole hall, I don't know which hall, I don't know how big the hall was, but it went up in yololis. You know what yololis means? Not crying, screeching, screeching. And I was a lad between 5 and 10 years old, not even 10 years old, probably between 5 and 8 years old. I got so scared, I ran away. This is Kehillas Geula v'Yeshua. My father, Zechrono Levrocha, used to daven there every single day. Every single day. The Kehillah closed up July 4th, 1984. That was the bris of Mendy. Mendy's bris. And Rev Willie, you know him as Rev Zev, Rev Willie. I could tell you about Rev Willie. I could be here a whole day. The Nana Sharuv, it's not Shaykh. I'll just tell you the day they closed up. They closed up. So one of the things that Rev Willie, at the end of the Suda, whatever's here, anybody could take whatever they want. That's an offer, right? They get for free. So I'll tell you what Reisman took. I took a set of chemoshim, not the big ones, the small ones that they traded after braces, came shemois, you know, and then you be able to hold that by Kriyas HaTorah and to follow. So I took one set. Today that set is by Shmaya, because Shmaya wasn't old enough then to take it. And I took it, and I met him once, and I said, would you like to have, do you have a set of, yeah, I have a set. You know what I took for myself? I'll tell you what I took for myself, and I still have it. They don't make them anymore. An electric clock. An electric clock with a plug. The wire is frayed. I'm afraid to move the hour back or forth because I'm afraid what's going to happen. Why did I take that clock? You're talking about the 50s. I came with my father every single morning to that base medrash. We walked in at 6:26. I could still see the minute handle over there. Not only that, today you have zettlach hanging, no speaking and no talking. A chalil v'chas, somebody talks. The ganze Welt hat zu brennen. No one talked. No one spoke. Nothing happened. Nothing. Everybody davened. You know something else? The yeshiva, I learned in Be'er Shmuel, had a kpeder. Everybody had to daven in the yeshiva. That's one way how they found out, or they were able to follow, that a kid, not a bucher, a kid, all before my mitzvah, davens. Where do you daven? I daven in Geula Yeshua. You know how big Geula Yeshua is? About 5 Geula Yeshuas could fit in this hall. That's how big it was. It was the dining room with the porch, with the living room. The living room was the Weibershul. And what I'm telling you, the best people, Yakis, as was mentioned before, kept the Minhoge in Deutschland, and we were there every day, and I was excused from the yeshiva, and I was allowed to daven in Geula Yeshua, because the Rebbe says he knows over there they daven and nobody talks. And not because there was a gabbai walking on you. Everybody davened. Everybody davened. Every word. They don't make it like that anymore. This door, what we hear today, the whole hador hahu, is passing on by this get-together. I don't want to call it anything else, because there's so much to learn from that. There's so much to learn from that. The Gemara has a shaila in Sanhedrin. The person says a hesped. She talks about Yukra Dachaya. She speaks about the respect, what people could learn from it. Or Yukra de Shchiva. She talks about the Nifter or the Nifteris. I think, my humble opinion, this gathering, both is true. There's so much to talk about the Nefteris. Isha Kshera. Again, talk about the generation beyond these walls. What's an Isha Kshera? And I'm not criticizing anybody. Today, you open up anything, and there's advertisement. A woman could be a doctor, a surgeon. It could be this Beshakov does this like this, has accounting classes, everything. Chazal tell us, Isik Shera Oiseret Soin Bala. You know what a good wife is? That does what a husband would like her to do. They don't make them like that anymore. Mrs. Zev Wiesner, believe me, Bas, the Rapsi, was such a woman. Anything and everything that Willie did was because his wife encouraged him, led him, and carried him on, and she was in the background. What they did and spoke and how she spoke there at home, I have no idea. But he couldn't do what he did. She was on Ocean Parkway, which is Southman today. It was all him. And I'll tell you something. We were very, very close. He was so nice to me, even though during davening he never spoke. But I sat on his lap and this. He was president of Torah Temina. Find me another person what I'm going to tell you right now. In the yeshiva, Rabbein want to raise. The Manal says he has no money. So I keep on going, you can figure out what's going on over there. So when they had a clash, so everybody ran to the president. Who else are you going to go to? The president. Who's the president? The Psi, Billy. So the Rabbein went to him. Manal, who does he go to? President. Guess what? Who adjudicated this machlokas? The president. Both sides took the president. And he decided, and every time there was a disagreement, he was the man. You don't find people like that. You don't find people like that. This is what's all gone. And she was behind him and everything. I'll tell you another story. I can tell you stories, but I think you get it. There's another thing which got etched into my system. The Nana Sharov sat up front. Rav Wiesner was on one side of the Aron Kodesh. The Nana Sharov was a Sagi Nohar. I don't want to translate that. And he was older than Rav Wiesner, I think. At least in my mind, probably his beard was wider at that age for me. The whole thing, it was a special place. One of the things was a big minik, and I have to mention also, The Gabi was the son-in-law of Rav Wiesner. Help me out, gentlemen. Mr. Friedman, yeah. What's his first name? Sally. Yeah, all the Yakashima Hogam is singing Ladoved, Bodak, the whole business. I know it's from a kid. Everything. But this one, you probably not takes the cake, takes the roll. You'll understand what I'm telling you. Erev Pesach. Macht man sehen. Sehen bechoires. I learned to the yeshiva. I ate them back. Gifter. Gifter was a bechor. Made a siyam mesechta every. So let me tell you what the siyam looked like. A can of macaroons with a shahakel, a real shahakel from beginning to end, with a boiner of if you had enough macaroons. Let me tell you what a siyam looked like in Kehilas Geula Yeshua. Because maybe I had not 100, maybe 1 million, plastic tablecloth. And Sally put everything out. Rolls, Erev Pesach rolls. You bring a roll in your house, Erev Pesach, your mother, your aunt, your baba will flip you out. Chomens! Erev Pesach, you crazy? And go to Yeshua, that's a siyam. A siyam is a suda. A suda is you wash. And you bench mezonah. And it's still in my bones, my Rabbi say. As a Rav, and I go to Yisrael of Long Island, till this day, that's how we make a siyam. You know why? Because when I was a kid, I learned from Geula Yeshua how to make a siyam. My hesped is, what a loss. What a loss. All you got to do is take a look at the whole thing and versteht sich. After Shmai the Rav was nifter, really nicely on the side ran the whole place. Who else? And Wachaved everybody. The Rakowskis. These are all people that established Borough Park, established yeshivas without any fanfare, without anything, without any tzedlach, without anything. She will sorely be missed.
Ari Bennett.
As the oldest great-grandchild of Oma, I was able to see the most of her out of everyone of my generation. And I want to bring out 3 lessons that I took from Oma. There's many more, but I want to talk about 3 of them. And point them out to my second cousins, and maybe some of the first cousins also, but I'm talking to my generation. So I'm sure you experienced this when you went to visit Oma. She knew how to feed people. Now, the older generation knows this too. But even when she was ready not, she still remembered how to feed people. Did you have a cookie? Did you have oranges? Take some more. Take some potato chips. Take some seltzer. You sure? You had enough? Hana, bring out more. She was very Baruch Hashem. She knew how to make sure a person was well fed. I remember going to the Hanukkah parties in Kosher Delight, and then in the basement also, and walking around. Did you have? Make sure. Did you get enough? Did you want triples? It's okay. You have to know, and that's something that I learned from Oma. My mother said I should mention, and if any of the other cousins want to make any foods, her fresh fried chicken was something that you had to taste, and her potato kugel, the black and white cake, the nut sponge, anything I'm missing here, her special dishes. Oma knew how to make sure a person was well fed, and when that's something we should know, that when you invite people for Shabbos or whatever, make sure to feed them, and if they didn't have doubles, offer them doubles, make sure they have it, put it on the plate anyway, make sure that people are well fed, and that's something, the first thing I want to take from Oma. What? Right. The second thing that I want to bring out, the second lesson, is Oma, by all means, had a very hard life. You know, she went through what she went through. I don't want to talk about it again. And in her old age also, she had a hard time. And you would never know. I was zochet to have a lot of older ancestors in my life, that I was born the earliest. I'm the oldest, so I had watched a lot of other people go through similar situations. And people complained. Oma never complained. You never knew. It was always, how are you? How are the kids? Are you engaged yet? You sure? Why not? You know, she always took an interest in you. And she always faked it. You know, if something was bothering her, which I'm sure things were, I never knew. You have to learn, I want to learn that lesson from Oma, that no matter what you're going through in life, you could have a very valid reason to not be happy. Very valid. Who could blame her? And you never know. It was always a smile and showing an interest in you. And we have to learn that even if we're not interested in paying attention to other people or putting a smile on our face or getting dressed in the morning and looking presentable, do it anyway. Remember Oma. Oma did it. If Oma did it, we could do it. And the third lesson is how to show someone that you love them, which is something I learned from Oma. Every Hanukkah, giving out stuffed animals, giving out 2 stuffed animals. Every birthday, you get the little envelope with the stickers, custom stickers with your name on it. Love, Oma and Opa. Always remembered it was your birthday. You remembered your thing that you're going through. Remember it every time. You're in Israel, when you're coming home, when you're coming to visit. She had a lot of things going on. She remembered where I was, what I was, who I was doing. And, you know, the grandchildren also could tell you that Shabbos in her house was something else. She would take her grandchildren to Israel to visit the Eshels, who I'm sure are watching this. And you went through her house, you looked down the hallway, and all the pictures of all the grandchildren, children, great-grandchildren, you see what she held dear in her life. And that's something that we have to know, to take to our own children and grandchildren. We have to look and make sure to let them know, the way Oma did, that we love them and show them that we cherish them. I also want to point out to my generation, as has been spoken out before, the tremendous level of kibbud av that was showed by our grandparents to Oma, and to realize how special it is and how we have to take that lesson to heart also, not from Oma specifically, but how she raised her children in that very special way, and that's something that we have to learn from and realize that I think I take it for granted, and I realize it's something very special. We have to cherish that. I also want to take the opportunity to thank Oma's aides, which has not been spoken out, Hanna and Annika Kursurum Sepen. That means thank you very much in Hungarian. You guys were unbelievable and did a tremendous amount, going way above and beyond to always be there for Oma, and we are very appreciative and grateful for that. Oma, you should be a Me'al Yosher for the entire family. On behalf of the whole family, I want to ask for Mechila. We didn't spend enough time with you. We didn't speak to you enough. We didn't call you enough. You should have your Shem Shabbat Aliyah.
I'd like to first thank everybody for being here, such short notice. Also like to give Shevach Haidot HaKadosh Baruch Hu for giving us the schus of having and have had such an incredible mother and father. Baruch Hashem, they were zeichet harichas yamim, and we were zeichet to perform kibbud av v'eim for all these years, and it was a true schus. At least we tried to do the best of our abilities. My mother was born almost 97 years ago to her parents, Reb Tzvi and Hinda Singer, Hashem Yimkam Doma. My mother grew up in a house that was full of Torah, Vayda, and Gemilas Chasadim. My mother, Olav Shalom, was thrown into Auschwitz at the young age of 16. A typical Beis Yaakov girl, ripped away from her youth, her parents, and most of her family. My mother never spoke about those years, but to us kids, we knew that it was some unimaginable horror that she went through. Her goal was to survive, and survive she did, Baruch Hashem. Together with my father, Olav Shalom, they built a wonderful family. And Baruch Hashem, my mother was zeicha just a few months ago to have on her laps her great-great-grandchildren. My mother was a true Eishes Chayil. She was partners with my father in all of his tzedakah projects, a true Ezer Kenegdoi, and she instilled in us the importance of respecting everyone and always to give. Wow, was Mommy a giver. She was an amazing tsunua, and just like my father, Lo Shalom, she never wanted the fanfare or the hoopla. They just wanted to help. Whether it was preparing the dinners for the Shmai school or hosting Russian families for Friday night suppers, my mother was only interested in doing the mitzvah. But family was her most important priority. How she loved all the gatherings. She was the glue. She held us all together, and she showed us the true meaning of what a family should be. By her, a tzige kimena was only a term others used. My mother treated all the tzige kimenas as her own children, and I can tell you that I've seen that the feelings were reciprocal. My mother had tremendous emunah in Hashem. I would imagine she had what to be bitter about. Auschwitz, seeing her mother, her two sisters, Zisel and Sarah Hashem come double. She saw them being shown the way to the gas chambers. Her father was murdered in a hospital. She didn't have her parents to walk her down to the chuppah. She had to sit shiva. The first time that she sat shiva was for her daughter, our sister Hindi, Olav Shalom. There was what to be bitter about. But never did we hear her complain, or did my mother say anything except, this is what Hashem wanted, this is His will, and this is we accepted. It's truly what Hashem wanted. That's the lesson she instilled in all of us, and all our children and their extended families. And we all saw what her essence was. The past few years were a little cloudy for my mother, but she was still able to say Moida Ani in the morning. We were able to say Shema with her at night, and we were able to even bench with her after the meals, even up till a few months ago. And if you came to the house, you had to sing Zmiris. She loved the Zmiris. When we got together, we all had to sing and sing and sing. And she knew all the words, she knew all the tones, and that was her essence. The past few months were very difficult ones concerning my mother's health. Many issues arose, but our goal was to keep you, Mommy, as comfortable and pain-free as possible. We had a lot of help along the way from many people and professionals. My amazing sisters, my Yeshes Chayil, my amazing brothers. We were all there for each other all the time. We were all worked in unison, and our goal was just to keep you as comfortable as possible. And Mommy, we gave it all, and we tried to improve. All we did was try to improve your quality of life. On behalf of our family, I'd like to thank the many Askanim and doctors that helped us navigate through these trying times. Without realizing it, we never really wore our headaches on our sleeves. And Rabbi Leaf, I want to thank you because without realizing it, this Shabbos you spoke with such a message that gave us such clarity why the Yidden had to go in such a roundabout way to give the Mitzrayim a reason to run after them. That was Hashem's plan. He could have taken them a different way. It was Hashem's plan. It was Hashem's plan. Everything that we were going through with my mother was Hashem's plan. And we realized that. We saw the Yad Hashem in everything, in every decision, whether somebody showed up or a different doctor came. Everything was unbelievably in Yad Hashem. And without realizing it, He gave us the chizik and the clarity. Thank you, Hannah and Anika Kusanem. You really, really improved Mommy's life. And without you, we would have been sitting here maybe, who knows, at an earlier time. Thank you to my dear you did, Rabbi Yaakov Reisman and Rabbi Ezra Rutkin, for all your guidance in ensuring that all our medical decisions were based on Das Torah. Took a lot of pressure. It took a lot of pressure off of us. Thank you, my son-in-law Shalom. And all of the dedicated members of Hatzalah who helped us on numerous occasions with the utmost professionalism. Thank you to Rabbi Chaim Aryeh Gitelis for all your dedication and your personalized attention and trying your best to keep my mother at home for as long as possible. My dear Chaver B.C. Lifshitz, for all your guidance throughout the many years that you've treated my mother. I'd like to thank you, Yuri Durdik, and the amazing staff at Community Hospital for treating my mother with the utmost dignity and respect. I'd like to thank the Bika Chaylim Chevra Kadisha, Mati Solomon, Shlomi Kashitsky, Meilach Walkenfeld, and one of everybody's best friends, Benji Epstein, for coming to the hospital in the middle of the night to ensure proper cover of mace. May Hashem grant you all, Arichas Yom Shanim, to be able to continue to do your amazing work. Thank you to all the amazing grandchildren and great-grandchildren who without fail called Grandma, called Oma every Friday to wish her a good Shabbos. Whether they got through or not, the attempt was made, and it was truly, truly appreciated. Sorry. Mommy, on behalf of myself, Michaela, Goldie, Amosh, Esther, and Yossi, we ask you to please be Michaelos. For any lack of cover that might have occurred along the way, we tried our best. We tried our best to keep you as comfortable and dignified as possible. Please be Melissa Yeshara for us, for the whole family, and all of Klal Yisrael, and please beg Hashem send us Mashiach ben Harry Emanuel. Yom Abasnasach Macha Hashem Dimo, Yedimia Kal Pal now, the Chefasam Yisir, may all colors Yadin ID bear. Mayor.
Yilmalei rachamim shoichein b'mirayimim hamitzei menucha nechayna al kanefei ashchina b'malayis kedoshim u'teirim kizayar harakiyam asirim Es nishmas blima bastri she'alecha li'aylama bavush nadvu bli nedet tzedaka v'yaratzka ras nishmasa Began Eden Tehei Menuchasa Hoilochein Bala Rachamim Yasli Re'av Yiseiser Kenafav Li'oilamim V'yitzrar B'yitzrar Achayim Es Nishmasa Adonai Yunachalasa V'sanuach B'shalayim Al Mishkava V'neimar Amen.
Shiva will be at 863 East 26th Street, eye on the dead end, and Shachs is at 7:30 a.m. Mincha is at 5:15.
Like a full-on